Want to watch football without the restrictions of blackouts or cable? Check out expressvpn.com to help you get access to all the live games. Sign up today using the link in the description to get 3 free months. Yo, what up, brothers? It's the director. Chargers fans, we got a big game coming up on Sunday. The Vikings, meh. But this guy, absolutely terrifying. Chargers fans know we suck versus the run. We give up a massive 161 yards per game, which is dead last in the NFL. That's like 25 more yards than the second to worst team in the NFL, dude. It's absolutely tragic out here if you're a Chargers fan trying to defend the run. Not looking good. And Dalvin Cook, I told you guys this in my last video. I think I was like the most worried about Nick Chubb in this season. Maybe Nick Chubb is a close, 1B to the 1A of Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook is one of the best running backs in the NFL, and it's going to be pretty tough to stop, man. If the Chargers ever come up with a plan to slow down the run, it has to be this week versus Dalvin Cook and the Minnesota Vikings. Now, there has been a recent development of Dalvin Cook being mixed up in some legal stuff. We'll go over more of that in a minute, but either way, this is a very powerful running football team, one that the Chargers do need to take very seriously. Another note, guys, the AFC West is in a 5-win tie, I would say. Every single team in our division has 5 wins, so this is going to be a very important game for the Chargers to try go out there and grab victory. And with the Raiders and Chiefs going head-to-head this week as well, it's hugely important that we win this game. If the Chiefs win, I think we stay on top of the AFC West if we do defeat the Minnesota Vikings. But if the Raiders win, they are on top with 4 conference wins. So as the division starts to face each other, as all these teams start to go head-to-head, it could not be more important to get a win than right now. So question before we get rolling, guys. If Dalvin Cook does play, okay, who will we lean on in order to slow him down? Let me know in the comments section below. Before we do get started, guys, hit us up with a like and sub. If you do enjoy this content, the small amount of time you guys take to hit the like, sub, and bell notification helps me out a lot. Let's get into this one. Lights, camera, action. The Chargers versus Vikings, Week 10 game Week 10? It's already Week 10? Oh, my Lord, guys. Well, as we always do, we're going to start things off with our injury report. Now, this one's pretty important if you're a Chargers fan. There are a lot of names out there that, especially in the Chargers defense, that should at least raise a little bit of concern. Nasir Adderley is listed questionable. I actually don't know if he's playing. The last time I looked, he might not be. Keenan Allen with a knee injury did get limited practice in this week. Now, I did see an article from Brandon Staley saying that Keenan Allen as well as Joey Bosa, who are both listed as questionable, should be playing on Sunday. So just keep that in mind. We're really going to need Keenan Allen this game. Anderson looks okay. Michael Davis with the hamstring injury. I told you guys, hamstrings, very tough to gauge on the amount of time it's going to take to recover, and he is doubtful for this game. Again, it's going to be tough. The Chargers secondary right now, although we are getting Asante Samuel Jr. back, which you'll see right here, he did get a full week of practices in. Still in the concussion protocol, so we don't know for sure, but more than likely he will play. Without Michael Davis and a banged-up Chargers secondary, it's going to be really tough because this team, the Vikings, feature Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson. It's going to be one for the Chargers to look out for. Lohi Gilman should be making a return this week as well. Other than that, maybe, Mark Webb, we might need to see him. Hopefully he does play. Other than that, I think the Chargers are looking okay. Then keep in mind a note for Chargers fans, because there's something that's not listed on this report here. Kenneth Murray is back. That's the good news. The Chargers really are going to need him in this game, hopefully trying to contribute to slowing down a Dalvin Cook. But the bad news is that Drew Tranquill has been placed on the COVID list, which means he will not be playing on Sunday. So it feels like the Chargers linebacking core is like a rotating game of musical chairs, right? One in, the other out. Hopefully we get the linebacker core back to full health very, very soon, because we definitely could have used Drew Tranquill in this game as well. And also another note, as we're getting into the Minnesota Vikings portion of the injury report, Harrison Smith and center Garrett Bradbury might be out with COVID as well. I think at this point they will be out with COVID, so just keep that in mind. Now, the Minnesota Vikings, they will be without Anthony Barr, which he's a pretty talented linebacker, more of a coverage linebacker kind of guy, right? Very good. Fortunate for the Chargers, we will not have to face him. And then Michael Pierce, defensive tackle, will also be out. This one's actually pretty important. Michael Pierce is a very good defensive tackle, and the Vikings have really been struggling against the run this season. So without Michael Pierce, they're going to be that much more exposed versus the run, and we'll get into the Austin Ekeler segment in just a little bit too. Bashaud Breeland might be out with a groin injury. That would be a pretty big one for the Chargers too. Again, we don't wish injury upon anybody, of course. Now, we're not monsters. But at the same time, we do need to point out, just the fact if Bashaud Breeland doesn't play, then, Justin Herbert's going to have a little bit of an easier time tossing the football. Outside of that, Cameron Dantzler should be playing. It looks like everybody else got full practices in, so I'm pretty sure most of these guys are going to play, maybe outside of Kenny Wilkes, but it's not a really big concern there for the Chargers. So that's who you're looking at for the Chargers versus Vikings game suiting up on Sunday. Let's get into the next part of this video, the keys to victory, okay? This is a pretty big game, guys. I know that the Vikings have not looked great. I think they're, 3-5 so far this season. They've dropped a lot of games, but even in the games that they've lost, they've looked pretty good. I think they almost took down the Ravens. A couple other playoff caliber teams out there. They got really close to beating the Arizona Cardinals, I do remember. They almost took them down too. So Chargers fans need to go into this game, I guess, with a little, air of caution, just a little bit, because this team is definitely better than what they look like on the surface. So the keys to victory. Step one, we got to slow down Dalvin Cook, man. This has to be the main focus if you're Brandon Staley all week long, right? Dalvin Cook, one of the best running backs in the NFL. The Chargers, the worst running defense in the NFL. We got to figure out how to slow this man down. Now, I do need to point this out because it has been a high point of, interest this week with Dalvin Cook dealing with some legal stuff, okay? He's facing a lawsuit from his ex-girlfriend accusing him of assault, battery, and false imprisonment. However, you look at it on his perspective, she broke in, threatened two of his guests. I think a gun might have been involved. So either way, we just don't know the situation in full right now. I think he plays on Sunday while they sort this out. But even if they don't play, they don't play Dalvin Cook, I'm still worried because of his backup in Alexander Mattison, who also is very scary. It felt like I picked up Alexander Mattison for a couple of games in fantasy football while Dalvin Cook was out, and the guy was putting up 20+ points a week. So he is also very good. I would say one of the better backup running backs in the NFL. So either way, the Chargers need to be concerned about the run game, okay? Chargers are going to have to really lean heavily on a couple of guys, I would say, in order to try and slow this down. Kenneth Murray, Justin Jones, and Linval Joseph, which Linval Joseph is an ex-Minnesota Viking. This might be a semblance of a revenge game for him. I don't think so. I think just Linval Joseph is going to be Linval Joseph, and a good Linval Joseph is a very scary Linval Joseph. He's really been doing it all, man. He's been very, very good, I would say, in pressures and in run defense. Even though the Chargers rank among the bottom, he's been a very big highlight of this defensive line. So hopefully he has a pretty good game that week too. And again, Murray and Jones really going to have to step up and trying to slow down Dalvin Cook or Alexander Mattison this week. So I don't know. I think the Chargers will likely have to throw down a lot more resources into slowing down the run, whether it be, bringing in, Kenneth Murray a little bit more versus the run, whether it be, less too high safety looks, putting more guys in the box. I think this is the game where you really have to shift focus a little bit, because this reminds me a lot of our game versus the Cleveland Browns. You guys remember the score of that game? It was 42-47 or something ludicrous. We had to put up 47 points to beat the Browns, who had one of the best running attacks, if not the best running attack in the NFL. Are we going to have to do that again? Maybe. I think the Chargers are really going to have to throw something special on offense to keep up with Dalvin Cook and even Alexander Mattison in the run, okay? Next key to victory here, throwing down Kirk Cousins. Look at this man. Man, he's really taking a wallop right there. In a way, Kirk Cousins actually kind of reminds me of a better Baker Mayfield. Kirk Cousins actually has been pretty good the last, I would say, 3 weeks, putting up 300-plus yard performances. He's been okay. He's been all right. And but the difference between him and Baker Mayfield is I feel like he's got a stellar supporting cast in Cook, and more specifically in the receiving game, Thielen and Justin Jefferson. That's something of an X factor that the Chargers are going to have to worry about, again, with a banged-up secondary that's not looking good. We do need to get to Kirk Cousins, though, because there's actually a crazy stat out there. Kirk Cousins is the highest-graded quarterback from a clean pocket at 94.6. We've got to disrupt that. We've got to get in there and make sure he's playing under pressure. He's not throwing from a clean pocket as much as possible. They have an okay offensive line, but I feel like guys like Joey Bosa should make quick work of dudes like Brian O'Neill, who I think is the right tackle, and Christian Darrisaw, their rookie left tackle. I think edge goes to Joey Bosa, pun intended, but at the same time, it's very important that the Chargers generate pressure in this game due to Cousins' efficiency from a clean pocket. We've got to flush him out. We've got to get, pressures and QB hits and sacks in order to keep the Minnesota Vikings from generating any momentum through the air, because they're going to have momentum on the ground. I think that's kind of a given at this point if you're a Chargers fan, but if they start generating momentum through the air as well, setting up play action, that could be pretty detrimental to the Chargers, who, again, might be allowing more points than normal with the banged-up defense. So, something to keep in mind. Next up, try something new. Chargers fans, if you're active on Twitter and stuff like that, I'm sure you already know this, but earlier this week in practice, Kenneth Murray is getting quite a few snaps at edge. That is pretty exciting to me. This is kind of showing the Chargers trying something that I've been hoping that they tried for a long time. And I think it really just comes down to, hey, try it out. If it doesn't work out, go back to what, in this case of Kenneth Murray, more middle linebacker snaps, which he's going to have there's a vacancy there. So I'm sure we're going to see a lot of him at middle linebacker this week. But I think this is a great idea to try and help Joey Bosa. If this works out, the Chargers would gain some stellar speed coming off the edge. You guys remember his career in Oklahoma as well, man. He was really good as a pass rusher as well. I don't know. I do think Kenneth Murray, it's worth a try. Who knows? Maybe he has something, at the edge position that he excels at, and the Chargers can help develop him in that way. Because right now, as of now, the middle linebacker, position, we got Kaiser White, we got Drew Tranquil, who's out this game, unfortunately, but they're both very, very good. That kind of asks, where do we put Kenneth Murray on this defense? Where does he fit? If he works out at edge, the Chargers would be in a really good place as far as the pass rush, and they need a lot of help at pass rush. Joey, I know, is getting frustrated, getting doubled and triple teamed every single week. If Kenneth Murray works out at edge, this could be a pretty big development for the Chargers defense. So I don't know, I like it. Work it out, try it out. This is something I hope the Chargers would do, in their pass protection, putting Matt Filer out at right tackle, bringing Brandon Hymas in at guard. That's something I wish they would do there, but I'm glad they're trying something, moving their pieces around, trying to find a nice spot on the roster where they can excel. So that's something right there. I'm excited to see that. Next up, light the fireworks, let them fly, man. This is going to feel like, I think it's starting to feel like a huge shootout brewing, is it not? The Vikings give up the 5th most yards per game in the league. The Chargers give up the most rushing yards. I don't know, man. With the Chargers down Mike Davis, it could allow, Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen to go off. Based on each team's offensive tendencies, this could be a very, very, very high-scoring game. One of the higher scorings. I don't think it's going to eclipse, the Chargers versus the Browns, but you got to keep your foot on the gas, I think, is the point of this little segment here. You can't let up. You can't start playing conservative. Hey, we got clock on our side. Let's start doing this and that. No, you got to keep your foot on the gas, man. You're going to have to put up points. I think, again, with the tendencies of each team, they love to run it. They've got good weapons as far as wide receiver. The Chargers banged up secondary. But, again, we do have Justin Herbert. We do have, weapons in Austin Ekeler and Keenan Allen as well. I just think it's starting to feel like the potential for a big shootout game on Sunday. And if the Chargers are going to keep up, they can't ever let up, if that makes sense. They really have to keep their foot on the gas and try and put up as many points as possible. Because, again, I don't know. I just got a feeling about this one, man. I think this could be a very high-scoring game, and the Chargers really got to go into this game with maybe an offensive mentality of we can't ever let up in this one, okay? And in order for the offense to keep up, we got to talk a little bit about herbs and spices, right? Justin Herbert. Now, the Vikings feature two very high-tier defensive backs in Harrison Smith, who is out, and Xavier Woods. Outside of that, I would say their corners are okay. If Rashad Breeland doesn't play, that's, again, another, mismatch for Justin Herbert to try and target. I think Justin Herbert will have an opportunity to put on a show this week. I really do. Joe Lombardi really needs to let him loose. I know Chargers fans have been worried about Joe Lombardi's play calling. I want to see less bubble screens and underneath plays and more risks taken, especially versus the Minnesota Vikings, who are giving up so many yards in the air and through on the ground. I think Justin Herbert could maybe eclipse 400 yards this week. Honestly, he might have to due to the Chargers' banged-up defense. And I think you really just have to put your faith in Justin Herbert to get it done this week. Again, we're going into this game, at least I am, with the mindset of this is going to be high scoring. It's going to be very offensive oriented. Both defenses don't look great. You really got to lean on the weapons that you have in order to try and grab the win. And I think Justin Herbert offers you the best chance at victory over anybody else in your roster in this particular matchup. Okay, but it can't all just be Justin Herbert. Are you receiving me? The Chargers wide receivers, I think, are going to be heavily called upon. By the way, this is an awesome photo. If I ever have time to do more, Madden card art, I would use this photo in a heartbeat. This is one great shot of Keenan Allen. Speaking of Keenan, he should be playing this week, right? Coach came out and said him and Joey Bosa should be out there on Sunday, and we're going to need him. Hopefully, Keenan Allen is playing it close to 100% because we're going to need, I would say, his route running more than anything this week. What was his injury, actually? Let's go back really quick. What was his injury that we were so concerned about? I think it was a knee thing. That's not good, man. That does affect your route running, your crispness a little bit, and I think we're going to need it from Keenan Allen. So hopefully he's healed up enough where we can lean on him to try and convert third downs. I know third and Keenan has become a very popular thing among Chargers fans, and we're going to need it. If we stall out, man, if the Chargers stall out a lot, like we've seen maybe in the past, not last week, but the couple of weeks prior to that, if we stall out, we're in trouble. Because I'm seeing every scoring drive, or every drive as a scoring opportunity from the Vikings. I need to expect the same thing from the Chargers. We have got to put up points. We have got to convert third down, and Keenan Allen's going to be a big part of that, okay? Mike Williams is going to need some deep targets this week, too. I think Mike Williams needs to get more involved this week. It feels like Mike Williams was like the fantasy king in the first half of the season, and then he started to really fizzle out. I don't know. I don't like that. I feel like they found a great, position for him, a great role for him on the offense. The Michael Thomas role, they've been going out to him deep a lot, too. Not just those slants like MT, but, Williams has a lot, a very high skill set that the Chargers can lean on. I think in this game specifically, you got to target him, man. Get him more involved. Mike Williams needs to be, a big part of the offense this week, as well as maybe Josh Palmer. We've seen a lot of big plays from Josh Palmer dating back to the preseason. We saw his huge touchdown versus New England a couple of weeks ago. I would like to see him get more targets this week too, and maybe use Mike Williams as your speed option to back off the defense a little bit. Get Mike Williams and Josh Palmer involved, but make sure Keenan Allen is in there to help as well. The last thing I'll mention before we move on is the tight ends. They really stepped up last week. Dalvin Parham, Jared Cook, Steven Anderson, even Trey McKitty, who was a great, blocking tight end last week. I think we should do it again. Keep that going. Keep that going. The Chargers are going to need help from every, corner of this offense. If the tight ends can contribute, I say just try and get everybody involved. But one big weapon that I do want to feature in today's video is definitely going to be Austin Ekeler. Now, the Chargers have the worst run defense in the league, right? I think the Vikings actually rank the third worst as well, allowing 136 yards per game. That's not great. And I think this is the week to really set up the play action. Get the run game going a little bit. Give Justin Herbert a little bit more time to develop big plays. I like it, man. I think, Ekeler will have his targets through the air game. I think that's definitely very important this week, too. But I'd run him a lot this week. I know some Chargers fans don't like the idea of him being like the bell cow, I suppose, the guy that's getting a lot of carries on the ground. But he's more than capable. And we've got a brand new offensive line, especially on the left side, with Corey Linsley and Slater on the outside. I don't know, man. I just think this is a good opportunity to set up the run game, set up the play action, get Austin Ekeler more involved. I don't know. I think if there was a week, that Austin Ekeler has a really good week outside of our game versus the Texans, it would probably be this one, especially with their defensive tackle out, Pierce, in this game. I think Austin Ekeler is due for a big game, and I think it could be this one. So he may be the featured weapon on this offense come Sunday. So here we go, guys. The final portion of this video, the big score prediction. Everybody's always asking, this is the big one. How do the Chargers fare versus the Minnesota Vikings? Honestly, again, I think this is a shootout brewing. I think it's going to be higher scoring, and I think the Chargers are going to have to keep up. And you know what? Honestly, based on what the Vikings have been doing, I think the Chargers are definitely up to it. My final score prediction for the Chargers versus Vikings game is going to be Chargers 38, Vikings 31. Again, a one score. I think some Chargers fans were hoping I would say 28 or 24. I think the Vikings are going to try and keep up, man, especially with Dalvin Cook and Madison and Jefferson and Thielen. It's going to be tough to slow this team down, and if you're going to win, you're going to have to outscore them. You're going to have to go out there and make the most of your red zone targets, convert on third downs, put up points. So the bottom line, this is a scarier team than we think, but they've fallen short so many times this season. Can they out-Charger the Chargers is the big question here. I know the Chargers have been, turning a page this season, but for the past several years, we've lost a lot of close games. Maybe this is kind of the tendency that the Vikings are falling into. Still, Staley, Lombardi, and the coaching, they really should look at this as an offensive battle this week. Let Herbert go out there and do his thing. He's going to offer you the best chance at success this week. Well, guys, let me know in the comments section below what you think the score is going to be in this game, as well as how do we slow down Dalvin Cook. Should be a fun one in the comments this week. Good luck to the Chargers, man. This is going to be a big game, bigger than we think, one that's going to be hard-fought and hard-earned, and I do think the Chargers are up to it if the Chargers can keep up with the Minnesota Vikings offensively. Well, guys, if you did enjoy what you saw here, hit us up with a like and sub if you do enjoy this content. Just a heads up, guys, we got a new giveaway coming up here in the next couple of days. It's the biggest giveaway I've ever done on this channel. Honestly, the items, it's going to knock your socks off. I guarantee it. So keep an eye out for that. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. This has been The Director. We'll see you next time. And as always, bolt up and stay frosty.